Hey everyone, so in this video I want to go over how to do a self unrack on the bench press when you don't have a spotter around. So first off, it's a really basic thing, but sometimes you might forget the height. If you do have the option of setting the height of the rack, we don't want to do it too high. Okay, so if I'm in this position, when I start, I should have a little bit of bend in my elbow, okay, which gives me room to be able to push the bar up. So when I push up, there's going to be a bit of room between the bar and the rack. If you're under here and your arms are already straight, so let's say this was a bit higher and my arms were already straight, this is going to be very difficult for me to actually push the bar up, okay? I'm not going to be able to do it. So as I said, you want to have a little bit of elbow bend so you can do like a mini tricep press off the bar, off the rack. On the opposite end of that though, you don't want to have it too low, so you've got a lot of bend in your elbow, because then you're almost doing a half bench press just to get the bar off, and that can make it even equally as hard to do a self unrack. If you train at a commercial gym and you don't have the luxury of being able to adjust the rack height, some of the bench presses at commercial gyms, they have preset heights. If you are stuck using that bench, you're probably better off doing it one too low than one too high in terms of the rack height. If it's too high, it's just going to be almost impossible for you to clear the lip of the rack, okay? At least if it's too low, you're going to be stuck having to do a bit of a tricep press off the rack. If they have the option, you're probably better off getting a flat bench and trying to bench in the squat rack, because the squat rack generally has a lot more height adjustments relative to a bench press in a commercial gym anyway. Okay, the next thing, after you've set your rack height, now we have to get under the bar. Now, when you're under the bar, you want to have the bar, I like to go about in line with my forehead. So when I'm under, it's about in line here, okay? I don't want to be too close, like at my nose or my mouth. If I'm too close here, if I push off and I start benching, I might be too close to the rack, and as I come up, I might hit the rack underneath, okay? On the opposite end to that, I don't want to have the bar too far behind my head, and now this is the bit where it starts to get hard to unrack. If it's too far, if the weight is too far away from my body, or it's too far away from my base of support in the bench press, which is going to be my shoulder blades, this is going to be very difficult. I can't even lift the bar off here. The weight is just too far away from my body. Think of it as if you have a weight plate, if you're holding it here, it's going to be a lot easier to lift relative to if you're holding a weight plate from here, because the distance of the load, in this instance, distance of the load to the joint is going to be further away, so it's going to be harder to lift. In this instance, the distance of the weight is going to be too far from the base of support from being like our upper back, so it's going to be harder to take the weight off the rack. So as I said, when you are laying down, have the bar around forehead. Now, this is the trick here to get to be able to do the self unrack. Usually when people go to unrack, their bum is going to stay on the bench and they're going to try to lift it up like this and pull it forward and then bench. Okay? As I said before, the further away the weight is from your base of support, the harder it's going to be to unwrap the bar. So, a way that you can get more under the bar is lift your bum off the chair, and you'll see that what's happening is it's bringing my body, or it's bringing my shoulders a little bit closer or a little bit more directly under the barbell. Okay, so I've got to go here. So here, as we said, the weight is closer to my upper back. It's going to be easier for me to push off, and then I can sit back down now. I still have room. There's still plenty of room between the bar and the rack, so I'm definitely not going to hit. Alright? So again, you want to lift your bum off the chair, and it slides your body a little bit more under that bar. You don't want to slide too far under, because then you're going to get, or you don't want to have your shoulders too far under the bar, because then you're going to run into the problem that there's not going to be enough space between the barbell and the racks, and you might clip when you're pressing up. So putting that all together, I'll do a demo of me doing a self unrack with 110 kilos. My bench max currently is 116, so this is pretty close to my 1 rep max, and I'll show you of me how I would do a self unrack with this load. So I'm going to go bum off, pressing up. I'm ready to bench. I'm not going to bench because I haven't warmed up, but I've got enough room between the bar and the rack, so if I did press, I'm not going to hit the rack. I'll do it one more time. This is making me tired. This is like cardio. Actually, I do the feet up bench setup, so some people might not set up like this. I'm just going to do it with the feet down straight away. I find you need to do it, doing it a little bit fast, this just becomes a little bit of an art in you getting good at a self unrack and actually practicing the self unrack. If I do this too slow, I find it very difficult to unrack the bar myself. So when you see this, when you watch me doing it now, you see I do it quite fast, those things I talk about, because it helps me get the bar off a little bit easier. Bum up, push, ready to bench.